Hello, friends. Up till now, we have seen the mathematical modeling approach for analyzing mechanical systems. In this lecture, we'll try to study some other methods of representation of control systems. As I said, mathematical modeling is one way of representing control systems. There are other methods of representation of control systems as well. One is block diagram method of representation. The other is signal flow graph method of representation of physical systems. In this lecture, particularly, we'll be focusing on block diagram algebra. We'll study block diagram fundamentals and block diagram reduction techniques. This is part of your unit number 5. A block diagram is a shorthand graphical representation of a physical system. Please be attentive. Block diagram is a shorthand, means a short and graphical representation of a physical system illustrating the functional relationship among its components. Or a block diagram is a shorthand pictorial representation of the cause and effect relationship of a system. In simple terms, if you take the case of, let us say, if you go to any society as such, you see one board at the entrance. Well, what is done there? Suppose 200 blocks are there, blocks of category A, category B, and category C are there. And you want to go to maybe block number B54 into that society, and it is a scattered society. If you keep on searching, you'll waste so much of time. Instead, what is done? A plan view of the layout of that society is given, and where you are standing, that is also is indicated on that plan view. And then all the roads, all the internal layout, where the A category blocks are located, where the B category blocks are located, where the C category blocks are located, and all those numbers are put. And from that diagram, if you want to go to B54, you just identify it on the board, and from your present location, you try to reach out to your designated or your required block very easily. So that this is one way of representation of those plots. So it's a pictorial representation, right? So it makes the location of your particular destination easier. Similarly, suppose you are going to a milk processing plant, so to say, right? And it's spread in 10 acres, and your objective is to study the details of freezing plant as such, ice cream processing plant. So if you just randomly go and try and search, you might spend hours together in locating those details or those locations. So instead of you just refer to the diagram, plan diagram, layout diagram of that plant, you can easily locate. So this diagrammatic representation of that factory layout helps us in locating particular department as such. Okay, if you go to a particular department, if you are gone to milk processing section and you want to study, as I said, the milk chilling plant, as I said, and you want to study, you just want to have a feel, just want to know generally what happens inside that chilling plant. So what you do, if you get a person who can guide you and explain the things, fine, he'll go there and just show what is what. Instead, if near that chilling plant, if a process diagram is shown, wherein all the components, maybe the compressor, condenser, expansion device, evaporator, all those are presented on a poster, so to say, and all those units, compressor as a single block, condenser as a single block, expansion device as one more block, and then the evaporator unit as one more block, and those are interconnected, and the process is understood by just looking at that diagram. Isn't the understanding simpler So this pictorial graphical representation helps us in understanding uh, the operations even. So for that purpose, these control systems of big plant, big processing industries, those are put on piece of paper in the form of blocks. So plant is put inside a block is drawn and it is written there as a furnace. So, okay, and this is the physical description of the layout. Going further, what we do is that we connect all these blocks together. We identify what will be the input to the plant and what is going to be the output to the plant. So that sort of representation is called as the block diagram representation. Going further, what is the dynamic equation of operation of the plant? That transfer function is put inside the block. What is the dynamic representation of feedback elements? The transfer function of that feedback element. Whatever is the feedback element. If it's a temperature sensing device, what is the transfer function of that thermocouple? What is the transfer function of the thermistor? If it is a pressure sensing device, what is the transfer function for that pressure sensing device? Likewise, inside the blocks, all those transfer functions are placed. And what is the input parameter? What is the output parameter? One can understand the overall functioning of that plant or process. Going a bit further, the scientists, researchers have devised various techniques and tools for simplifying that block diagram, converting a 100-block block diagram into 2-block block diagram by using the rules of block diagram algebra and obtaining the transfer function for the entire plant. So this in hand with mathematical modeling helps us in arriving at transfer function of that component first, of that subsystem then, major system, and all the systems put together for the entire plant. I can find out the transfer function. This transfer function is nothing but input-output relationship for that component, for that element, for that subsystem, or for that plant. So this is how this block diagram algebra rules help us in understanding the process first, in understanding the operations, and then in analyzing those plant elements, and it helps us in arriving at the input-output relationship for the entire plant. So this is the benefit of this block diagram representation. Let us go further. This we have seen. So the simplest form of the block diagram is a single block with one input and one output. As you can see here, block is a rectangular block. So one input will be there, one output is there. As we have studied earlier, we should read the block diagram from left to right. So x into this d by dt, that is dx by dt, is equal to y. This is how this block diagram is read. So the simplest form of the block diagram is a single block with one input and one output. Like that, I can have number of elements, so that I can have number of blocks interconnected together to form the block diagram for the entire process. The interior of the rectangle representing the block diagram usually contains a description of or the name of the element or the symbol for the mathematical operation to be performed on the input to yield the output. Right? In many cases, it is the transfer function of that element. The arrows represent the direction of information or direction of signal flow. The signal flows from left to right. This is what the arrows indicate. The operations of addition and subtraction have a special representation. The block becomes a small circle. Please be very attentive. There can be questions based on that. The block becomes a simple small circle called a summing point. If I use a circle, hollow circle, or a circle having a cross, that is called as a summing point with the appropriate plus or minus sign associated with the arrows entering the circle. Any number of inputs may enter a summing point. A summing point, a circle is there. I can have multiple inputs as well. The output is the algebraic sum of all the inputs. Some books put a cross in the circle, right? So this is the way, one way. This is the summing point, hollow circle I have. This is one input, this is another input, one input having x plus another input having y. So x plus y is equal to, as I said, left to right, bottom to top. So x plus y is equal to whatever it is, z. This is, or e is equal to x plus y, whatever is the output function. So this is one way of representation. Another way, I have positive feedback. If this is a feedback line, this is a positive feedback. This is the line with negative feedback, which shows subtraction. X minus y is equal to whatever z, that is equal to x minus y. It is represented like this. In some cases, I will have three inputs, x plus y, because plus sign is there, x plus y plus z is equal to w, whatever it is. This is the equal sign. One more representation is putting a cross inside that circle. This is also one way of representing. Both are correct. There are different ways of using this symbol for summing point. Okay, right. Here, so inside these quadrants, they write plus or minus, right? So this is one way of representation of summing point. Components of a block diagram for a linear time invariant system. System components are alternatively called as elements of the system. The block diagram has four components. First, the signals shown with the help of arrows. Systems or blocks shown with the help of rectangles. Then summing junction or summing point shown as a hollow circle, and takeoff or pick off point. So wherever I'm taking out a branch, a dot will be there and an arrow will be there. So that will be called as takeoff point. So this is the signal shown by arrow. This is the input signal, RS, reference input, and this is controlled signal. And what this S corresponds to, if you remember, R is a function of Laplacian variable S. C is a function of Laplacian variable S. So this is Laplace representation of reference input and control signal. So these are the signals. So the block diagram, I have a rectangle, a block for the system, and inside that block, GS corresponds to feed forward block. Okay, feed forward block transfer function. So G is the symbol used for feed forward block transfer functions. So G is also function of S. Otherwise, G can be function of time even. In this case, this G is a function of S. So how to read this block diagram? This input RS into GS will be equal to CS. This is how I read this block diagram. Now summing junction or summing point, R1S, R2S, and R3S. So these are the summing elements which are coming inside this summing point with a cross. So I have a plus sign, and minus sign. So how to read this? And this is the output line. This is summing junction or summing point. CS is the output, let us say. This CS will be equal to R1S plus R2S minus R3S. This is what is written. R1S plus R2S minus R3S. Now what is takeoff point or pickup point? So in the signal line, I have a point that is coming out of that branch in the form of a branch. So I have got RS. The same RS is going straight also. The same RS is going in another branch. The same RS is going to one more branch. So this is called as takeoff point or pickup point. And the directions can be this way also, the other way also. The takeoff point will move like this also, right? So there is no restriction, should move forward only. No, takeoff point can be moving forward, or pickup point can be moving backwards. In order to have the same signal or variable be an input to more than one block or summing point, a takeoff point is used. Yeah, this is the takeoff point. The same X is going straight, going in one branch, going to in another branch. This is the takeoff point. As I told, this is one direction of signal flow. This is another direction of signal flow. X, it is going straight also. It is in the forward path also. It is in the feedback path also. I do it by using a takeoff point. This is my takeoff point or pickup point. Here the same signal is moving backwards also. Right. This distributes the input signal undiminished to several output points. This permits the signal to proceed unaltered along several different paths to several destinations. This is the meaning of takeoff point. Now let us take the example. Consider the following equations in which x1, x2, x3 are variables and a1, a2 are general coefficients or mathematical operations. So my algebraic equation is x3 is equal to a1 x1 plus a2 x2 minus 5. Now how do I represent it? By using a block, by using block diagram concepts. So I have a1 x1 as one branch, a2 x2 as another branch. So these are added. So we call it as plus sign. Then one subtracting element 5. So 5 is subtracted. So a1 x1 plus a2 x2 minus 5 will be equal to x3. This is how I convert that equation into a block diagram representation using a summing point. Okay, and a1 x1, I can have x1 multiplied by some element characteristic a1 x1 into a1 is equal to a1 x1. So coming out is a1 x1. Okay, let us move further. Consider the following equations in which x1, x2 up to xn are variables and a1, a2, an are general coefficients or mathematical operators. So I have xn is equal to a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus up to the last point an minus 1 xn minus 1 etc. So I have x1 into a1 coming out as a1 x1 coming here, a2 x2 coming here, like that up to an minus 1 xn minus 1. So all these are added together to give me xn. This is how I convert this algebraic equation into a block diagram representation. Let us see the topologies. We'll now examine some common topologies for interconnecting subsystems and derive single transfer function representation for each of them. These common topologies will form the basis for reducing more complicated systems to a single block. So what are these topologies? Let us see. Now, cascade or series topology. Any infinite number of blocks in series may be algebraically combined by multiplication of transfer functions. That is, n components are blocks with transfer functions g1, g2, dot up to gn, g1, g2, g3, g4 up to gn, connected in cascade or connected in series are equivalent to a single element g with a transfer function given by g is equal to g1 into g2 into g3 into g4 dot up to gn. So this is summation of gi where I varies from 1 to n. Now how to represent that? I will have number of blocks with g1, g2, g3 up to gn. I can just multiply them to get the overall block diagram. These are called as series elements. Example. So I have got G1 and G2 as two blocks and the signals are E, M and C. So what is the equivalent for this series equivalent for this? E is my input and C is my output. How do I combine this? These are the blocks in series. I multiply the transfer function. Now G1 and G2 are the transfer functions of this block. Now this might correspond to actual system element. As I said, this G1 corresponds to controller transfer function and G2 corresponds to process or plant transfer. I can combine these blocks together into a single block simply by multiplying the transfer functions. This is what the cascade law or series law says. So combining these blocks into a single block and whatever is the input E and output is C. So intermediate this signal is eliminated. So G1 into G2. So the equivalent of these series elements or cascade elements is E as the input into G1, G2 is equal to C. This is how this block can be read, isn't it? So multiplication of transfer functions is commutative. That is Gi, Gj is equal to Gj, Gi. So even if I write G1, G2 or G2, G1, both are one and the same. So this multiplication of transfer function is commutative. It follows the law of commutation. So G1, G2 is equal to G2 into G1. Okay, this is cascade. Let us move to next to the one more example for cascade elements. So I have got 3 blocks now having transfer functions G1, G2, G3. Now let us make it very clear. G1, if I write only G1, so that is generalized representation of feed forward block elements. So if I write G1 into bracket T, that means G1 is function of T. If I write G1 into bracket S, that means G1 is function of S. If I write G1 inside the bracket capital D, so G1 is function of D, right? D is corresponding to D by dt. So that bracket representation S represents G1 is function of S. Okay. So RS reference input is function of S, right? So these are the 3 blocks G1, G2, and G3. So these are called as blocks in series or blocks in cascade. Now these can be combined together by simply multiplying the transfer functions. How these are multiplied and reduced into one block? G1s into G2s into G3s. Inside was one single block. And RS is the input and CS is the output, isn't it? So RS into this G1s into G2s into G3s or G3s into G2s into G1s, because these are following commutative laws, will be equal to CS. This is one more example of cascade or series elements. Let us move further. So this G equivalent, this corresponds to G equivalent of S is equal to G1s into G2s into G3s. Now let us see series we have seen. Let us go to parallel blocks. Parallel form. Okay. So what is the difference? In series, the blocks were in series. Now in parallel, the blocks are parallel. And what is one more change? This RS, as we have seen while studying the summing point, RS is going straight into G2s. RS is also going into this branch into G1s. RS is also going into this branch into G3s, isn't it? So parallel form. What is this parallel form? Now all these parallel elements are coming to a summing point, right? So in series elements, the transfer functions were getting multiplied. In parallel blocks, these are either added together or these are subtracted together. Let us be bit attentive in understanding these rules of block diagram. Okay, so RS is going straight. RS into G2s is equal to X2s. X2s is equal to RS into G2s. It is going to a summing point. Now this RS is going here also. RS into G1s is equal to X1s. RS into G1s is X1s. So X1s is also coming to a summing point. This RS is also going here. So RS into G3s is X3s. So X3s is equal to RS into G3s. This X3s is also going into the summing point. And what is coming out? The controlled variable CS is coming out. This will be summation of these 3. It will be CS will be summation of X1s plus X2s plus X3s, because plus sign is there, or plus or minus we can write. So CS will be equal to, inside the bracket, either. So if I add X1s plus X2s plus X3s, but what is X1s? RS into G1s. What is X2s? RS into G2s. What is X3s? RS into G3s. So if I take out RS common, what remains is CS will be equal to plus or minus G1s plus or minus G2s plus or minus G3s, the bracket multiplied by RS, right? Because RS is common. So this is what is the parallel block rule says, isn't it? So what is the overall block diagram? When I add these parallel blocks and convert it into a single block, how it will look like? RS is the input, and inside the block I write G1s plus G2s or G3 plus G3s. G plus or minus G1s plus or minus G2s plus or minus G3s inside the block. And what is the output? Output is CS. Now how do I read this block diagram? Reduced block diagram or equivalent block diagram? RS multiplied by this block, RS multiplied by this block is equal to CS. Rs multiplied by this block is equal to Cs. So these are the parallel rules. Let us go to feedback rule now, feedback form. Okay, let us read this block diagram first of all. So I have got input as Rs, summing point having a cross, so plus sign, and negative feedback, that is minus sign. Then the signal goes straight into the forward path. This is called as forward path. Now here actually there is a small mistake. Here I should conventionally, nothing wrong is there, but conventionally I should use the symbol H. For feedback path elements, we use the symbol H. So here by mistake it is given as G2S. No matter. But conventionally I should use H symbol for feedback path elements and G symbol for forward path elements. So this is called as forward path. This is called as feedback path. This is the reference input. This is the controlled output. Isn't it? This is a block diagram representation of a closed loop control system. The third topology, we have seen series, we have seen parallel. The third topology is the feedback form. Let us derive the transfer function that represents the system from its input to its output. The typical feedback system shown in the figure. Okay, the system is said to have negative feedback if the sign in the summing junction is negative. So if the sign for the feedback path is negative, we call it as system with negative feedback. And if the sign is positive, I call it as positive feedback. Negative feedback is subtracted from reference input. Negative feedback is subtracted from reference input, and the error signal is generated. And positive feedback is added to the reference input, and the error signal is generated. So this is the feedback topology. Let us see the feedback form more in details. First, reference input transducer, which has the transfer function G1s, will go to the summing point. Then I have the actuating signal or the error signal, which goes to the controller. The controller has the transfer function G2s, and the plant has the transfer function G3s, and it gives out the controlled signal or controlled output. Now this plant signal is picked up by the feedback element. So the output transducer has the transfer function H1s. So feedback path elements are represented by H terms. H1s is the output transducer. So maybe data conversion element is there, feedback conversion element is there. So that has the or signal processing element for feedback, that has the transfer function. Maybe one amplifier is there. Output signal that is generated by a thermocouple is very low. That is to be amplified. So this feedback processing unit will do amplification, and that amplifier has the transfer function H2s, and that signal is fed back to this summing point, right? So this can be either negative feedback or positive feedback. So how it works, how this feedback control system works, I have the reference input Rs into G1s entering into the summing point. So I get the feedback, whatever is the Cs into H1s into H2s reaching here. So this minus this will be the error signal or the actuating signal. This actuating signal will be processed by the controller. So multiply whatever is the actuating signal or error signal multiplied by G2s will enter into the plant, which has the transfer function G3s into G3s will be equal to Cs. So if I write equation like this and solve it for Cs and Rs, I'll get the transfer function. Okay. So this is a representative block diagram for a certain plant, let us say. Now this can be reduced by using our rules of block diagram algebra. These series blocks can be combined into single block. These series blocks can be combined into single block, can be converted into single block. So when I convert it, feed forward path, I have got only one block, plant and controller. GS, in this case, if this GS will be equal to G2s into G3s, and the feedback path elements also, I combine it into a single block as HS. HS will be equal to H1s into H2s by using cascade law or series law. So this is H1s, and the remaining terms are given like this, input and output. Now this representation, when I have got single block in the forward path and single block in the feedback path, I call this block diagram representation as canonical form of a block diagram. Remember this, In canonical form of a block diagram, there is single block in the forward path and there is a single block in the feedback path. Okay. Now this canonical form also can be converted into single block by using this rule. What I do, RS as the input and CS as the output. And what is the transfer function? CS by RS. CS by RS is GS upon 1 plus or minus GS into HS. So this we have to remember this rule for elimination of feedback loop. What I have done here, I have eliminated the feedback loop and converted into single block. What I do, how do I read the transfer function of closed loop transfer function of this system is GS forward path elements divided by 1 plus or minus forward block elements into feedback elements, GS into HS. This we have to remember as a rule. Now, what is one change that you see? See here, minus and plus is there. And what is happening here? Plus and minus. So what is the meaning of this? This sign will be plus when I have got negative feedback. When I have got negative feedback in the denominator, I'll be having plus sign. And if I have got positive feedback here, I'll be getting negative sign in the denominator of this closed loop transfer function. This we have to remember. So 1 plus GSHS will be there when I have got negative feedback, and 1 minus GSHS will be there when there will be positive feedback. So this is one rule we have to remember for eliminating the feedback loop. So like that, around 12 rules are there. We have to remember, understand and remember these rules and use these rules for converting the block diagram. I think we'll stop for this lecture, friends, and